when I was very, very young, about 8 or 9 years old, I remember my father telling us a story that he had essentially cured himself from hepatitis C using an herb called golden seal. And how he knew how to do that was he had read a book called Back to Eden, which I find a lot of people, a lot of my contemporaries, my colleagues have read that book, Back to Eden. And Kloss, I think was his last name, the author. And it was basically a book about this guy who was a doctor, American doctor, who was doing some work with a bunch of cancer patients using herbs and, homeopathic and natural medicines. And I remember reading it very young and being so impressed with it and saying to myself, wow, I love this, I love the way this guy is. It was also disheartening a bit because at the end of the book, he had said something to the effect of that he was treating a bunch of cancer patients so well, they were responding so well to his treatments that he, as part of a study and his own research, he wanted to contact the American Cancer Association and ask them to help him and maybe corroborate with him on some treatments, if they would give him some of his patients and they could do some sort of studies together to see the validity of his efficacy of his medicine. And they wouldn't allow him to do that. They said, absolutely no way. And I remember as a young, impressionable girl thinking, gosh, that's what a sadness, it was so, I just didn't understand why they wouldn't at least, and that was at least give him a shot, and that was my first impression of, I remember it being so strong in my heart that wow, is this what people come up against when they're trying to do something good in the world? And I remember being dismayed by that, but it was my first interest into plant medicine and in general, watching my dad cure himself from this hepatitis C, that I was hooked. And then much later on in life, I had a situation that happened with me that I had to use the medicine, and at that point I was already studying Chinese medicine. I had graduated already. I think it was about 7 or 8 years in practice, and my son got very sick. My son started developing all kinds of markers for autoimmune diseases, and something was wrong with his heart, and we didn't really know what it was. I had already graduated, but I really was kind of a newbie in the field, and I didn't feel confident enough to help him with myself, but I had a slew of mentors who came to my support, and at first though, we had sent him to all kinds of doctors to find out what it was, cardiologists, endocrinologists. Nobody really could help him. Basically, they essentially found that he seemed to have developed some sort of reaction or adverse reaction to Ritalin, which is a drug for ADHD. At the time, everybody was being prescribed this, and so was my son. My son finally benefited from one of my mentors' treatment strategies using plant medicine, plant-based and animal-based nutrients. We call them phytonutrients, and some herbs and some acupuncture. And it took a while, but not as long as you would think, because I guess children in general, at that point, he was 16 years old, about to enter college. And within 3 to 4 months, we started to see a change, reversing the numbers of the blood tests and all the other analysis we were doing. And within a year, he was back to normal. He was completely healthy. The doctors didn't even know what happened and how this could happen. And they asked me all kinds of questions, but they really didn't believe. Even in the beginning, my son didn't believe, but then he started really seeing how well he did. He had to go through 4 years of college without Ritalin, but we were able to do that with him with whole food phytonutrients and herbs, and teaching him how to accept himself just the way he was. There was some other modalities we used, like meditation and awareness. And we were blown away, and I will forever be grateful to my mentor for that. And that really got me more committed to and more enthusiastic and more inspired to keep practicing and know everything I could possibly know, which is a lot, by the way. My God, this field is quite intense, and there's a lot to know, and even I think in a lifetime you probably couldn't know it all, maybe a few lifetimes, but I went back to school and studied more. I've been taking postgraduate classes ever since, and now I'm in my 15th year, so I've been taking classes with herbs and phytonutrients. I'm currently enrolled in an online year program called Clinicians Mastermind, again, using whole food and plant-based nutrients and herbs to reverse and prevent autoimmune diseases. So I'm really happy to share what I've learned so far with you, among other things.